Hi, are you thinking of taking the PMP exam? Have you heard a little bit about the PMP exam? You might have heard all sorts of things about it, but I wanted to set the record straight. The PMP exam is absolutely achievable. You can succeed on the exam. I've been training this exam for the past 16 years. I got certified in 2005, and since I got certified, I have trained thousands of individuals on the exam. My buddy, Roy, who you see on the screen, is my Agile coach. He also comes along for the ride and helps train some of my students for the exam as well. The organization behind a lot of our training is called Praizion Media. We've trained all sorts of companies and agencies worldwide. We've trained agencies such as NASA, the US Army, the US Air Force, the FBI. Many organizations that you see on the screen, you might be able to recognize them. Today, we're going to be talking about how to start off with your PMP application. What is project management? Who is the PMI? And questions such as that. What exactly is project management? It's the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques, leadership abilities, determination, grit, and a lot more to your project activities to achieve your company's desired outcome or your customer's desired outcome. As you are doing this, you're going to end up delivering value and benefits to your customer, and that will give them the desired outcome. Who is the PMI? The Project Management Institute is a non-profit association that has been involved in putting project management on the map. You could call them the leader or one of the leaders in project management. Founded in 1969, it's a not-profit organization, and they are behind the PMP exam and many other exams. Now, at the time I put this together in 2015, when I started putting it together, there was 655,576 PMPs. But at the very beginning of the journey, take a look in 1984, there were not that many PMPs. In fact, there were just 40. So that number has grown in leaps and bounds. How about today? As at 2020, there were over 1 million PMPs in the world. So like it or not, it's a certification that everyone should consider, especially those who are looking to get into the project management workforce. A lot of the exam is centered on good practices documented in a book known as the PMBOK Guide. It's called the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide, and oh my goodness, it weighs quite a bit. But that's the PMBOK Guide right there, 6th edition. It's gone up to the 7th edition. Another piece of documentation you're going to need for this exam is called the Agile Practice Guide, and that's it right there, okay? And then when you come aboard training with us at Praizion, we give you a very comprehensive document, and this document is called Project Management Essentials. But the PMBOK Guide contains good practices, and it provides a common lexicon for project management. I know one of the questions is, am I eligible for the exam? Well, here's the eligibility criteria. If you have a high school diploma and 5 years of project management experience and 35 contact hours of project management education, you could be eligible to take the exam. If you've got a bachelor's degree or global equivalent, 3 years of unique non-overlapping project management experience and 35 hours of formal project management education, you can take the exam. And if you went to a GAC accredited program in college, you only need 2 years of project management experience and 35 hours. What is the exam? 180 multiple choice questions. You got 230 minutes. It goes quick. Only 175 questions count, and 5 are pre-test questions. The passing score is currently undisclosed. The questions are pretty situational. And the PMI will evaluate your proficiency across people, process, and business, 3 domains. And hold on to that thought. You're going to hear me talking more and more about 3 domains. A highly situational exam, and it's tough. But even though it's tough, majority of our students pass on their first try. In 2021, all of our students who have taken the test have aced the test. Some questions require that you read the PMBOK guide and the Agile practice guide to be able to answer them. You get a lot of what should the project manager do next kind of questions. So again, 175 questions, 5 are pre-test, there are 180 in total, and you've got 230 minutes. The exam is broken out into people, process, and business. People is all about people interactions. Process is all about processes, tools, and techniques of project management, be it predictive or agile or hybrid. And the business section of the exam is all about business strategy. We've found folks in the C-suite to do quite well in the business area. The process needs a lot of attention to detail, and people, if you're a people person, you'll be able to put those skills to use in understanding the context, because we talk about things like Maslow's theory, McGregor's theory, Herzberg's theory. We talk about the Hersey-Blanchard model, talk about the 5 stages of team development, also known as Tuckman's ladder. There is a lot to discuss. But when you come aboard our training, we will put you in the fast lane to get all of this information down. The 5 steps to getting certified. 1, are you eligible? 2, will you do it? That's my question to you. Will you do it? Go or no go? And if you decide to go ahead, well, sign up to be a member of the PMI, start your application, and then come to our training. PMP Masterclass, we have on Praizion.com right now an offer for you to start right away. Go on to Praizion.com, come aboard this training with us. And last but not least, you will pass the exam because we believe you can absolutely do it once you go through training with us. So again, people, process, business, this is the breakout of the exam. 42 people, 50% process, 8% business. In addition to this, also be aware that the exam could be split into 2 broad components. Agile and hybrid, 50% of the exam, and predictive, 50%. But you know the honest truth, a lot of our students come back and say, Phil, no, it wasn't a 50-50, it was a 60-40 in favor of agile and hybrid. Some students go as far as saying it was a 75-25. But whatever the case, we will get you into that fast lane of understanding so that whether it's a 50-50 split or whatever variation, you will be able to take on the exam and knock the exam out cold. The exam is based on the PMP exam content outline you see on the screen here. Like I said, people, process, business, but there's a very specific breakdown of 35 question types that you could get. And these tasks, these 35 tasks, they fall into people, process, business. People has got 14, process has got 17, and business has got 4 tasks. It's definitely a document worth reading. Here you can see different question types. You can have drag and drop, you can have hotspot, you can have questions that combine various approaches, and you can have questions that are just straight up MCQs. Here's 4, choose 1. Or you could have questions that are, here are 4, and choose more than 1 kind of question. One of the big things is applying for the exam and filling in the application. Just follow the format you see on the screen. Initiating, planning, all the way to closing. Just state what you did that falls into initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling or closing. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. So I call this the process group pentagon. When it comes to project management, there are 5 groups of things you do. 1, initiate. 2, plan. 3, execute. 4, monitor and control the project. And 5, close the project. This is not the technical work. This is not programming or testing or analyzing. It's just managing the work. Now, in addition to breaking it out into groups of processes, we could break out what project managers do into areas of knowledge. Project managers integrate and hold everything together. They scope out the project. They schedule the project. They cost out the project with the team. They think about quality, fitness for use, conformance to requirements, and customer satisfaction. They think about resources, human equipment, material supplies, facilities. They think about communications and procurement and stakeholder engagement. And they think about risk, because risk can touch every single one of those. And a good project manager is one who is always thinking and always adapting to the environment behind the project, the environments at play. We call this enterprise environmental factors. So on every project, there's an environment. You have the environment of the project, you have the business environment, you have the company environment, you have the political landscape, you have the country, the location. And all of these, they touch the project in one way or another. And this, what I'm showing you on the screen, I look at these as reminders for the project manager. Now, you could manage a project in two ways. One way is for you to plan everything. And you can only plan everything when the requirements are close to agreement. So on the y-axis, we have requirements. If they're close to agreement, it's easy for you to plan to some degree. But what about the technicality, the technical method for the project, the technicalities involved? Well, if you're close to certainty on both requirements and technicality, you could plan everything. We call that the simple approach. But as you begin to venture out towards complex, things become a little bit harder. Now we have complicated, which is many steps, like building a watch, but if you follow those steps, you'll be okay. So we see it somewhere in the middle, we kind of gauge it somewhere in the middle, but we could still use predictive approaches for that. But the moment you hit complex and anarchy, this is when Agile needs to be called upon. So when you come aboard for our training, we will train and coach you and mentor you in Agile to understand that the iron triangle from the world of predictive is flipped on its head. And instead of fixing scope, when we get into the world of Agile, what we are going to be fixing is actually schedule and budget, not scope. So it's reversed. It's turned upside down. We will teach you all the tricks of the trade to get this information down pat. There are many ways of looking at how one could plan for this exam. Our course is broken out into some agile, predictive, hybrid training, some situational trainings at a very high level. Without going into too much detail, this is how you can approach the course. We'll train you in agile, we'll train you in predictive, we'll train you in hybrid, and we'll also train you on how to answer the questions. So for those questions that I showed you as we went through, you probably realize, some questions seem a little bit short, and other questions seem inordinately long. How do you answer these long questions? We will train you, coach you, mentor you to be able to see a trick question and a red herring a mile away. So I want to advise you, if you're looking at getting certified, go on down to projectmanagementmasterclass.com and take a look at what we've got coming up soon. The way the cycle works for PMP, you start your application. If you don't complete it, after 90 days, they'll shut it, but you can easily open it again. 5 days, PMI will take that to review your application. You could be audited, but you will only be audited after you pay. You pay for the exam and you could be audited. Whatever the case, wherever the audit comes, because PMI could audit you at any time, even after you get certified. And that's why we encourage people to have documentation and proof. But the bottom line is you've got 1 year to take the exam, right? After you pass the exam, your certification cycle begins. You've got 3 years to earn 60 PDUs, and you renew. Carry out the renewal process, and it starts all over again. Now, if your credential is suspended because you forgot to renew, you've got 1 year to get your act together. And this has happened to me on 2 occasions where I forgot. I've got so many certifications. I've got like 10 or 11 now certifications, and 5 of them are from PMI. But the bottom line is you'll be suspended, and if you don't take action, then you will eventually have the expiration status and you would have to start all over again. Don't let that happen to you. I was talking to a student a few days ago, and unfortunately she let it lapse, and that's it. All right, now my friends, going into some more details of the syllabus. There are 49 processes. We break down each process in the training. Each process will be broken down into an understanding of the inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs at a pragmatic level, not going into strict rotation. That never helps. But we'll teach you the pragmatism of the PMBOK guide. We will teach you the pragmatism of Agile. We will teach you the pragmatism of predictive, iterative, incremental, and agile approaches, and how you could be anywhere on a continuum, how you can be hybridized in your approach to project management, how you do not have to do everything agile, but you can inject a bit of predictive, how you don't have to be only predictive, but you can inject a little bit of agile. And by the time we are done, this people, process, business configuration, you'll be all over it. You'll be able to see page 25 for what it is. It's a tailoring blueprint. And I'm showing you here on the screen, out of the 49 processes, taking about 20% of them, you can find a line of best fit. So instead of having to cram every single process, when you understand what I call the PMP Guide mainline, which we'll teach you on, you understand what exactly is happening throughout the PMP Guide. You are not mesmerized by the huge number of processes, 49. It definitely takes a better mousetrap to be able to understand this, to be able to put things into perspective, and to see how this could work in multiple ways for multiple projects. As far as the content outline is concerned, we make it fun, we make it extremely transparent and simple, we put things in the order that they really occur in the real world, as opposed to just following the outline blindly. We really train you on the nuts and bolts, and that's why we call it a masterclass. We teach you everything you need to know, just as we have our other students for years. We put them into real world scenarios, we get them to collaborate, and we motivate, encourage, and inspire them to get certified. As far as how much the exam costs, it costs $405 if you're a PMI member right now. It was at 2021. We have the fees to be a member has been $139. So it pays to be a member. We encourage people, be a member of the PMI, come into our training with your PMBOK guide, your Agile practice guide ready, and come in ready to work, ready to have a blast with your colleagues, with people from all walks of life, medical field, engineering field, training field. So just come in, come to the training. If you have any questions about training we provide, why don't you go on down to Praizion.com, send us an email, info@Praizion.com. We would love to hear from you. And if you got certified on my watch, or you use any of my materials, like pmradio.org, I would love to hear from you. Send an email and let us begin your journey to greater heights, either in project management or towards your PMP exam success. Thank you for joining me today. I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.